Hello, first graders. It's me, Mr. B. And this is one of the great times of the year when we are going to practice telling time the old-fashioned way with a clock, with a big minute hand and a small hour hand. We call that an analog clock. And one of the very best ways I know is to read a story with one of my favorite characters of all time. Ready? Thomas the Tank Engine. And the book is called Tell Time with Thomas. So let's check it out. It starts out, it says, at 7 o'clock, Thomas starts out on his first journey of the day with Annie and Clarabelle. So 7 o'clock, that means the hour hand is on the number that we just said, 7. The minute hand is on the 12. The reason the minute hand is on the 12 is because 12 is the beginning of the hour. And at 12, no minutes have started in the hour. So it's 0 minutes after the hour. So the way we write that is 7 colon, dot, dot is a colon, 0, 0. And that colon means after. So the way to think of this is it's 0 minutes after 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. All right. At 8 o'clock, Sir Topham Hatt catches a train to work. There's Sir Topham Hatt catching the train to work. 8 o'clock. That means the hour hand has gone all the way around. And so now it's 8 hours. Big hand stays on the 12. It's 8 hours and 0 minutes. So 8, 0. 0 minutes after 8 o'clock. This train is pulled by James the Red Engine at 8 o'clock. Sir Topham reaches his office by 9 o'clock. He has a cup of coffee before he starts to read the pile of letters waiting for him. Oops, that's 8 o'clock. So in the time that he was on the train, the big hand moved all the way around. And he gets to the office at 9 o'clock. So the little hand's on the 9. 9 o'clock is when it's 0 minutes after 9 o'clock. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to give you a sneak peek into the future because every single number on the clock represents 5 minutes. It takes 5 minutes for the minute hand to go around the clock. So it's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, and then 60 minutes are in an hour. After 60 minutes, the hour hand has moved 1, so then it's 10 o'clock. So let's see what happens at 10 o'clock. From his window, Sir Topham can see Gordon the Big Engine ready to pull the express. At 10 o'clock, the conductor blows his whistle and waves his flag, and Gordon starts off down the line. At 11 o'clock, Percy pulls some freight cars. As he passes the airfield, he toots hello to Harold the helicopter. 11 o'clock. So after 10 o'clock, 10:05, 10:10, count with me by fives. 5:10, 10:15, 10:20, 10:25, 10:30, 10:35, 10:40, 10:45, 10:50, 10:55, and now we are on 11 o'clock. So 10 o'clock would be 10 dot dot 0 0 0 minutes after 10. 11 o'clock would be 11 colon 0 0 0 hours after 11 o'clock. Thomas arrives at the junction at 12 o'clock noon. Henry, the green engine, is at the next platform. So 12 o'clock. So 11, this is 11 o'clock, 11:05. Can you count with me? 11:10, 11:15, 11:20, 11:25, 11:30, 11:35, 11:40, 11:45, 11:50, 11:55. Now we're at 12 o'clock, where the little hand is on the 12 and the big hand. 12 o'clock, which we also call noon. It's the middle of the day. 12 o'clock. All right. Toby and Henrietta have had a busy morning. At 1 o'clock, Toby stops for a drink of water. His driver and fireman have some sandwiches and tea. So 12:05, 12:10, 12:50, 12:20, 12:25, 12:30. We're just counting by fives, right? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. And now, by the time we get up here, the hour hand has moved from 12 to 1. That's 1 o'clock. 1 0 0. 1 o'clock. Okay? God, I love this book. It's awesome. All right. Then it says Edward is taking some children to the seaside at 2 o'clock. As he puffs down the line, his driver waves to Trevor the traction engine. Trevor is sawing logs in the orchard. 2 o'clock. So let's count by fives. Ready? 5 for the minute hand. 10, 15, 20, 25, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. And by the time the minute hand goes around 60 minutes, that's 1 hour. Now we're at 2 o'clock. 2 hours and 0 minutes. Okay. Next, it says at 3 o'clock, Henry is on time and going well until he comes to a fault in the track. Thomas comes to his rescue with the breakdown train. Poor Henry. Now he will be late. All right, let's get to 3 o'clock. Ready? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. And now we're at 3 o'clock because every 60 minutes is 1 hour. 3 o'clock. All right. All right. At 4 o'clock, Bertie the bus brings some passengers to the station. Thomas takes the people on to town. His coaches are very full. All right, so we got to get to 4 o'clock. Ready? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 55. There we are. So now that's how we got to 4 o'clock. And 4 o'clock, right? 4 dot dot 0 0. All right. Now at 5 o'clock, Thomas makes his last journey before going into the shed for the night. 5 o'clock, okay? So let's do that. So let's get it to 5 o'clock. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Can you count with me? 35. What comes next? 45. What comes next? 55, 60. And now we're at 5 o'clock. 5 colon 0 0. Okay. By 6 o'clock, all the engines are asleep. Let's get to 6 o'clock. Here we go. Okay, count with me. 5, what comes next? 10, what comes next? 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60 minutes, which means the hour hand has moved one more to 6 o'clock. And we said at 6 o'clock, the engines are all asleep. Telling time with Thomas. So now, in your big red math book, hopefully you are on page 589. You have your name and number up there on the name and number line, right? So it said at 5 o'clock in our book, it said that at 5 o'clock, what was it? Thomas makes his last journey before going into the shed for the night. All right, so take your pencil. I'm going to use a marker so you can see it better, but you're going to use a pencil in case you need to erase. We're going to trace the hour hands on the 5. The big hand is on the 12. Notice how the big hand goes all the way up and the arrow touches the 12. The minute hand is only halfway between the center and the number 5. So whenever you have to draw on the lines, the arrow hand is halfway to the number, but the minute hand goes all the way up and touches the number. Okay, so now, what time did the day end? It was at 6 o'clock. So let's draw 6 o'clock. So the big end's on the 12, but the little hand, now it's on the 6, but it only goes halfway to the 6. So make that for us. And then to show which way the hour hand goes, let's just draw an arrow like that to show that's what we call clockwise. The clock always starts up here, goes to the right, right? If you put your hands up, your right hand is on the right hand side, so the arrow goes towards the right before it goes to the left. Clockwise. All right, so let's talk about how to handle the next page. Page 590. Let me get Thomas out of here. So let's read what we need to succeed. It says there are two kinds of clocks. This is an analog clock. Can you say that? Analog. How many syllables? Analog. Analog means old-fashioned with hands, minute hands and hour hands. The hour hand is shorter. It points to the hour. The minute hand is longer. It points to the minute. And like we did on the blue arrow page, whenever you draw your hands, I want the minute hand to touch the number. The hour hand only goes halfway to the number. So this clock shows the hour hand's pointing to the 3, the minute hand's on the 12. It's 3 o'clock. And another way that we can say that is 3:00, 0 minutes after 3 o'clock. All right, the directions are you're going to write the time on that is shown by each clock. So for number 1, where is the hour hand? In these pictures, the hour hand's red to make it easy for you. So the hour hand's on the 9, minute hand's on the 12. It is what time? 9 o'clock. So put a 9 there for number 1. Number 2, the hour hand's pointing to the 2. Minute hand's on the 12, the o'clock. So it's 2 o'clock. So what are you going to put here? 2. Okay, now pause the video, please. Do number 3 and 4 on your own, and then press play to check your work. Okay, so hopefully you should have come up with hour hands pointing to 11, so it's 11 o'clock. Here the hour hands pointing to the 6, it's 6 o'clock. All right, we're going to temporarily skip page 591. We're going to go to page 593. That's our practice page. So at the top of the page is another box that tells you what you need to succeed. And This is, again, repeating how to tell the difference between the hour hand and the minute hand. The hour hand is shorter, the minute hand is longer. So on page 593, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to write what is the hour, what is the time that each clock is showing. For example, number 1, the hour hand, is it pointing to the 12 or the 4? Right, it's the 4, so it's 4 o'clock. Do the same thing for 2, 3, and 4. On the back, on page 594, same thing, write the time that's shown for number 5 and 6. For number 7 and 8, read the problem. It tells you a time that something starts. It tells you it ends 1 hour later. So what is the time 1 hour later? Okay, so here, Mr. Smith's class starts at 9. It ends 1 hour later. What's 1 hour after 9? Well, what's 1 after 9? 9 plus 1. Right here, Miguel has soccer practice at 7. It lasts for 1 hour. What time does it get over? 7 plus 1, 1 hour. 7 plus 1, put that answer there. Here you're going to complete the sentences with the 2 yellow highlighted words. Figure out which words go make sense in which sentence. Put that in there for practice. And then the page that I'd like you to send me at the end of the day, page 591. The directions are simply to write the time shown in the picture of each clock, just like we did on page 590 and on page 593 and at the top of page 594. So I hope you enjoyed telling time with Thomas and with old-fashioned analog clocks. When you think you're done, you've only just begun. Check your work, make sure your answers are correct, and then please have somebody send me a picture of your work. Just this one page, 591. All right, speaking of time, it is time for me to finish and for you to work on your math. I'll talk to you later during literacy. Cheers.